I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And I'm assuming I don't have to read the whole introduction. Sweet. All right. I'd like to call the Milton Planning Commission meeting of October 25th, 2023 to order. And let me be the first to say, my heart was not broken when I did not see the letters UDC on the agenda. Just put that out there.
Yeah,
Just put
you
that
missed the last one.
I-
Oh, did we finish the last one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it seems so long.
So any comments on the agenda? Are we good with that?
I think we have it organized correctly.
Yep, we're good.
Okay. All right, so the consideration of the action minutes from September 27th.
So I have one change to the minutes on the approval of the previous meeting's minutes. Fred motioned, I seconded.
Okay. I just have a question. Since I was here.
Oh, I'm
not
sorry, I'm sorry. Let me retract that. Not on the minutes, on the change of the agenda order.
Correct.
Fred motioned, I seconded.
Yes.
Okay. I just have a silly question. Can I vote on the minutes seeing that I was not here? Or should I not vote on them?
Probably best if you didn't.
Unless you watched the tape replay.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, you could.
I did log in for a few minutes, but
Yeah.
so they don't, it can carry with 3, so I don't think you need my vote. So,
I have so,
Question.
yeah, she has a call to
Question.
order.
Your Honor, if he abstains, we don't have a quorum to vote.
You have a quorum present, and you need a majority of those present and voting to adopt. So
so we're
the
okay.
quorum is present, and then
Here's 3.
two out of 3, and presumably 3 will carry it.
any other change on the action minutes? Any other comments? We got that?
I got the change.
Move to approve as corrected.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those that abstain, aye.
Abstain. Right, you abstain. I voted aye.
All right. So the new business. Number 3, the comprehensive plan for 2040, a monthly update.
Good evening, planning commissioners.
Louder, I can't hear you.
Good evening, planning commissioners and Robin.
Evening, Shiva.
Good evening. Welcome back.
Thank you. Do you see the presentation? Well, before I get into the presentation or comp plan update, I would like to share a news that I've been promoted to become a principal planner at the Milton. So one of my job is obviously now to make sure the all comp plan projects get attention. So I will continue doing so here on. So with that, let me get started.
Oh,
Yeah,
congratulations.
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 Thank you.
Well earned.
More pressure.
Yeah.
Okay, so our biggest project, the UDC, well, we have a big milestone that Planning Commission have finished the review of UDC, and thank you for your dedication. So far, it's like long review. So now we're looking to move into the next phase, which is adoption cycle, and Caleb from TSW is going to make a final presentation in December with a final draft. And meanwhile, we are actually going to get started with CZIM in November. That's just a community information, zoning information meeting, so we can have that. And we are looking at February of next year for the final adoption. Also, yes.
Caleb's presentation will be to us?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, yes. So also next year happening, we're kickstarting 2 new projects, as you know, Arnold Mill, small area plan. I'm working on RFP to go out. It's going to go out very soon. It's ready. and large lot incentive project. So we will start on that one sooner. We're just waiting for the election to kind of get over, and then we can have a joint work session with the new council and planning commission. So I got some direction from Steve to look into KUA, the conservation value, use value assessment. That is a tool that a lot of large lots use. So I'm doing some research around it. So I will have that information when we do the meeting. Next focus area in comp plan was economic development and
Excuse me, one question on the last slide. Will one of the things that you'll be looking at include the purchase of development rights?
yeah, that is one of the comp plan short-term work program. We have it. We haven't started it because it was kind of a subcategory into this LU2, which is
LU2. Okay,
yes.
fine.
So
Good. I wanted to
and
make
you
sure
can
those
you
were
got
together.
the report from me, right? So the monthly report, it will be showing lots of projects that are completed turn into blue bar on the left side. So, and some of the projects that we haven't started are probably still going to be shown as green because this is a sub-project, so it's probably going to be shown as a green bar on the left side, but that's where it is. I'm not sure how serious the PDR is going to be, but it is to be discussed as a part of the project. So we will definitely discuss that because it's going to require funding.
Right.
So the next one, economics development, as I said, Anita Jupins, our economic engagement manager, is leading this project. Emily is also on the core team. So this project has made significant progress, as you can see the schedule. We are on almost task 4. There is a major meeting, open house, scheduled next month, November 15th at Alphareta's Hilton Hotel. And this is a really, as a representative of planning commissioner, at least I want 3 of you to go ahead and give them feedback. I don't know if they can have a quorum. Over there, they should, or you wouldn't recommend that, right?
If there is a quorum there and you're officially doing things.
That's right.
I mean,
So just 3 of you, please, because I know Laura was representing you over there. She was on the steering committee or stakeholder group, but she's no longer with PC. So just 3 of you, please. And they did make a presentation last month to City Council. And consultant, and they discussed market analysis, and they also laid out some economic strategies to look into. And since Deerfield and Windward area is almost mostly developed, the focus is more on repositioning that area for the new market realities. They had shared a lot of data point, and obviously in the interest of time, I cannot show you everything here, but I'm positive that the open house will cover a lot of recap of that data. So I really encourage you to attend the open house and give them your feedback on this particular project. This is one of the examples that the consultant had shared, and we have seen this before also. This one particular property that you are seeing on the slide is Alphareta's property, but we have very similar properties in Milton, office campus, lots of surface parking, very car-centered and single land use. So how we can morph this into a mixed-use, walkable development, that is the focus. And the consultant argued here that to make the placemaking happen, there has to be a unique experience for the consumer over there. And so there are some strategies that they discussed that government, how can a government induce some of the energies, or what can a government do to make it happen? They can, for example, here they have given two examples of absolute investment kind of and a relative investment. One of the example is invest into a public space improvement, or take it even to next level by adding programming or events. So this is just one example, but they are really looking into identifying certain properties which can, if we invest in improving those properties, they can set a snowball effect and actually have a good outcome at the end. So this is a really interesting project, and as I said, can get involved into it. Now is the time, I guess. Next focus area is transportation, and last month we had Public Works come and give you a presentation on comprehensive transportation plan, which is a separate plan than the comp plan, but it is touching lots of our projects. In addition, the CTP will be paving the way for the next SPLOST listed project. So there's a lot going on here. This project is moving as scheduled. The target completion date is end of the year. The only project, one of the project that is holding back is the signage, incorporating the design elements of branding into different signage. That is T1. That's a little bit waiting for a branding project to finish. And I'm going to talk about branding project in a minute. Any question on this one?
How many people attended last night?
Oh, I don't know. I think they had a big meeting last night. Yes, I have to actually check with Rob. We were pretty busy today, so but I can get that data next time. So, another transportation project, which is kind of a hybrid between transportation and sustainability, but it was about the trail prioritization plan. And as you know, many of our trails are really on the green space properties. So they had created this new project called Greenprint just to create a master plan for each green space properties and trails. And our environmental project manager, Emily Groth, is leading this project. And they already had two in-person meetings with community last month. And I think actually I have mentioned those meetings in a important dates coming up slide, I guess, in August. But the point is, and she also went to council to give some briefing on how this project is moving. So my guess is this project is really moving forward pretty fast. And so if you want to kind of give us feedback, I can actually invite her next month if you want. Well, actually, we're not going to have a meeting, right, next month?
We don't know yet.
Yeah, well, if we are going to have a meeting, I will invite her so that she can kind of brief you guys on this one.
Question. Recently, there was some conversation, I think, at City Council as it referred to, I guess, discussion on building the bathrooms and all this. Now, having said that, this is a project to create a master plan, but are those type of things already being considered and will be done before we have a master plan?
So I know that the bathroom project was Birmingham Park bathroom project. So that is not part of the Greenprint. They were just discussing that one kind of because it's all about the parks. But I don't know if they approved the budget for that, but they were discussing funding for the
Okay,
bathroom
so it
project.
doesn't
This
have
one is
anything,
only going to focus on the trails planning and opening the green spaces
space.
for the safe walking around the trails, because right now it's very raw over there. So they just want to get it open so that people can enjoy the green space.
Right.
I will check with Emily again if there is anything like bathrooms in the, if it is possible that people have given feedback about bathrooms. So I will check with her if they are already thinking about that in the plan.
Yeah, Shuba, my recollection of the city council meeting was they voted to approve the application for a grant to possibly build a bathroom. So it was
Oh,
more
okay.
they wanted to go
Yeah, they
ahead
wanted-
and see if they could get the grant money.
Mhm.
So it was more of an approval of the grant as opposed to, yeah, we approved the bathroom.
Yeah.
Next thing, the goal is to open up more area for access rather than putting the $500,000 into the bathroom, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
heard those comments too, but
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so the final focus area in the comp plan is placemaking and branding, and branding project is in progress. It's pretty much wrapping up. Last month, the consultant showed 4 alternatives to the steering committee, and they were like, the first alternative was a little bit update to our existing lineup of logos and seal. And the second option was to streamline a lot of updates to the current versions and create new logos for character areas like what you're seeing here, a little sneak peek of small logos of Deerfield and crab apples. So, and the third concept was actually modeled on the luxury brand concept. And the fourth option was a modern twist on the contemporary flavor. It was, well, I can tell you, I was in that meeting, and out of the bat, people, the steering committee didn't like the contemporary one. They were more gravitated towards the second one, which is more updated, and there was some of the luxury brand elements, they really liked it. So I'm excited to see what they present next time, the combination of some of them. But I have to tell you, for each of these options, the consultant presented an array of graphics, including the brand statements and logos for various districts, and the seal and department icons, and so it was a lot of options for them to review, and they've been giving feedback in writing, steering committee. There are many projects under placemaking and branding that are part of Parks and Rec. So they have been actually working on partnering with Alpharetta on equestrian events, or promoting Birmingham Park more for trails, equestrian trails, and things like that. Just so you know, they do work with Milton's equestrian committee closely. So they have lots of feedback, like continuous feedback from the committee, and they are doing their thing. And I'm just gonna keep and get the report from them for you, unless you have some particular direction for me to tell them to go. It's really, ball is in their park, really. The second one is public art. Again, they are still doing their due diligence. They haven't figured out which way to actually go for the public art project. And one of the ideas we discussed, maybe one of the planner needs to actually kind of partner with them and come up with some solutions, because at the Parks and Rec, they're not planners. They are just programmers, really. They create recreation programs. So it might be a good idea for us to kind of help them out a little. Final one is naming project. So we have named plenty of green spaces. The latest one was Lackey Road property, which is named Lakapani Preserve. Now you probably heard that already. And another exciting news, the city is looking into using this new project management tool called ClearGov. And we just got it, we're just playing with it right now. And as you can see, I typed in all these focus areas from Complan, and I retroactively typed in what we have done and not done. And this is just a dashboard that you're seeing right now. But we will be most likely using this for the future projects to come up with the tasks and milestones, and so that we'll have a good dashboard to share with you instead of this Excel spreadsheet. So that's it. That's all I have.
Great. Anybody have any questions? Congratulations again, and thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you need this?
No, I don't know. I didn't know if you had it.
All right, next under new business is the review of the bylaws of the City of Milton Planning Commission. I guess, was this a result of us discussing those indirectly or asking about those, or?
Yeah, I think we started to wanting to review it. I can't remember. I think I even distributed it and then we got into the UDC. So we're just kind of picking back up. So I don't think we had any formal discussions yet. So what I sent to you was the existing bylaws as they exist right today. So they badly need to be updated. So that's why we're here tonight.
Especially since it says we meet at 7 PM on the
Yeah.
Tuesdays over on Deerfield. Just before we get started, just kind of beginning with the end in mind, on page 6. Correct to say we'll discuss it, then we'll have a red line of
Bring it
proposed
back,
revisions
Yeah.
that we can review, but we can't vote like next month. And then we can't vote on those until the month later. And if we make any revisions to the red lines, because what this says is that, what I read this to say is the red line, the amendment had to be submitted in writing in the previous meeting, and then you vote on it the following meeting. So can't vote tonight. We could redline it, have the red line for the next meeting. If those red lines have no red lines, then we could actually then adopt it the following month.
Yeah, what yes, that is a true statement. I would say, if there are no further red lines, I think you're suggesting that if there are further red lines and it goes another month, I think what you can probably do is, if you have minimal, minor red lines, when
Grammars.
you come to bring it to a vote, you can vote to approve it with a minor change if.
Okay, but really, we're talking about,
But you
Give
are
it
correct. It
red lines
cannot be
next
voted
month.
on tonight, and these rules also say must be presented at a previous meeting. We don't have one to present at this meeting, so
so the first time we could vote on this is December,
December.
October.
Right, if,
and then
yeah.
December.
So we don't know whether we're going to have a meeting. We might have a preliminary plat next month, but we don't know yet. We'll know probably in the next couple
Okay.
weeks. And I would prefer not to have a meeting if we don't have any active items. Give a break for November because December we have a whopper of meetings, so.
Okay, maybe then we do want to knock out the red lines to the bylaws next month.
Yeah, it might be.
Well, that's true. Okay.
Yep.
But
Mhm.
I would
Yeah.
say you're not I mean, if you take it
We'll
up
see.
and defer.
Okay. And yes, I have suggested red lines.
Okay. I would expect nothing less.
Cheers.
Okay.
Okay.
So do we want to go page by page and then whoever has suggestions?
I'm assuming so.
My first suggestion is in Article 2, Section 1. The first sentence says we report our findings and recommendations to the mayor and city council, but I also find that on certain things, we make recommendations to the City of Milton Development Director, and that should be added.
Okay.
In Articles 2, Section 2, since plans is not a defined term, it should be and other related plans lowercase. And then I want to have some discussion, or I have some questions on Section 2D as in David.
Yeah, on to what?
And to David, it talks about, and I realize some of these are somewhat codified or
Right.
based on legal precedents. But this talks about the zoning proposals burden on streets, transportation, utilities, or schools, but can we also look at public services? So, for example, if somebody wanted to put in something that was a fire risk, therefore would burden our fire department, can our public service, can that be a consideration?
Generally stated, yes. What I want to say going into this is going to need to mirror what we adopt as part of the code, because these considerations are really going to go into the code, and this is kind of a just a
Reflecting
idea.
what's already in the
Yeah,
code.
it's so that you can look at one document and see where it is. It doesn't need to be in here. You could theoretically, it should be.
So
it's
is
gonna
that
be in the
something
code.
we want to put on our parking lot of code modifications we want to suggest that we consider public services? Or in your mind is it, because it doesn't, it's not street, it's not satisfaction, it's not schools, it's not utilities, but it is a public service, which is a cost. Or,
Yeah,
you know, or if
my,
it's.
my recommendation is that it match whatever the code says
Right.
or will say, and that you shouldn't be changing what the considerations you have. The city council will make changes, and we can either not include them here or update them once the city council changes any of the considerations.
Yeah. So Robin, could I make a request that you look at this A through G?
Yeah, so these were,
Because code has been updated since 2010, and see if any of
well,
this
so this,
changed.
I know this hasn't been
This has,
changed because
okay.
this came out of the original, what we called the
Charter.
Steinberg's considerations, and it is very much codified. And it's something that I can look at, like when we do rezonings, I can talk about public services. You know, that can be part of our staff report. It doesn't have to be codified here, but it can be, but I guess it would be something, my understanding is, if I remember right, that we're not bound by this because we don't meet the threshold of the population or the whatever. That was
Yeah,
my
those
recollection.
actually went away. They amended
This
them out.
time, right, so that's what these are, but if we want to change it, yes, we'll have to change the code.
Okay.
And so we can put that in our parking lot list, yes.
I don't know how everyone else feels. If, you know, I am in alignment with the thought that we keep this section in particular very tied to the code. But I think there are other allowable
Yeah,
considerations.
I think this is probably one of the few areas of the bylaws that we do have to, you know, be conscious of. So, yeah.
Well, I think we should suggest whatever changes we think of, and if they make code changes and sort out later, but I think we should make this kind of a wish list of everything we'd like. And then we can go through and see what's actually doable without going and changing the code and that. Make sense?
Yeah.
Kurt, your microphone. The mic is up. Oh.
Okay.
So I had anybody else have changes on the first page? I mean, there's some obvious things, but I had a few things. So mine was on the section 1, the first paragraph. There needs to be a correction. It says per chapter 2 administration, article 3, but it's actually article 5. And we can double check. And then it just says boards, not city advisory. So, and then after boards, comma, commissions, and then it should insert comma, committees, because that's what is in on the actual city code. And that's it for that first paragraph. The second paragraph again, as allowed by Chapter 2 Administration, Article 5. And then get rid of advisory again, and then put in the, can't read my own writing. The second sentence adopts the rules. Oh, the commissions and committees, yeah.
When we come to it, I'm probably going to advise changing the wording because the bylaws do not hereby adopt bylaws.
Okay,
That would be more in a resolution adopting it or a motion adopting it. So really just says this section provides for the authority to adopt.
okay. But that's on the last page, right? that you're
Article
talking
1,
about?
Section 2.
Okay, there, oh, I
Where it says
see.
hereby adopts.
Oh,
rules,
okay,
I would
okay.
probably say is authorized to adopt rules, procedures, and guidelines.
Okay. Is
Authorized to adopt.
rise.
And then take out the word the, and probably as referenced here.
And take off as referenced herein.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and then, let's see. Then in the next Article 2 purpose, the Planning Commission is a 7-member advisory board that reports its finding and then whatever. So I'm just fixing that.
Remind me, do they make, you make final decisions? Does the planning
On,
therefore the term
no,
advisor?
you don't, no. But to her point, you make recommendations to the community development director about preliminary plats. So, yeah. That's all I had for the first page.
Do we need to adopt just a convention because we do talk about City of Milton and all of a sudden we start talking city? So do we do, the usual legal City of Milton hereinafter city? And I was trying to figure out where we would insert that if it goes at the end of Article 2, Section 1, because the rest is referring to the particular code of ordinances. As we talk about city staff, we don't say City of Milton staff later.
So it should, all of them be City of Milton.
Well, one of the conventions to allow the shortcut is like, you can, when you mention City of Milton, you can just put in parentheses here and after city.
On the first, under section 1.
I think it would go under Article 2, Section 1, because the rest is particularly referring to the City of Milton Code of Ordinances.
Mhm.
But yeah, and then we refer to city council, yeah. Choice of convention on bylaws, I guess, Paul, I don't know what you prefer.
I don't have a preference either way. I do want there to be a logic to whatever the code or the convention is.
So I'd like to, just for clarity, here and after city, it's just, I don't know where we insert that, if it's in Article 1, Section 1, or because in the next line, we talk about city council.
Yeah. The mayor and city council is a term that I've seen, I believe it's in the code. And the City of Milton Code of Ordinances is, I think, one of the official titles for the City of Milton Code of Ordinances.
This is the code, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I was looking. Designation. Well, actually, it's the Code of the City of Milton, Georgia, or the Code of Ordinances of the City of Milton, Georgia, or the Milton Code. So one of those three, as opposed to what's in here.
You guys clean it up?
Yeah,
Just on,
let's look at it and we'll,
Okay.
there may
either
be.
call it city or call it Milton, but
Be consistent.
yeah.
You have to be consistent.
All right. Anything else on page 1? On page 2, E through G, we're looking at that according to the code.
I'm assuming Article 4, Section 1 should also be then Article 5,
Yeah, and that's what I have.
Okay.
and then
And
insert the
advisor,
committees, so.
yes.
And then the other thing I have on that page is in the very last line. Regard to a pending application, comma, outside of public hearings, I don't think you need the comma.
Okay. Anybody else have much on page 2 or anything on page 2?
And then so on the Article 4, Section 1, at the very end, failure to do so warrants removal from the commission by the council or by the city council or,
Probably mayor and city council.
yeah. And so I think that we may want to going back up under what the planning commission is charged with under section 2 above. So we have the section 3, and then maybe we want to talk about adding a section about the preliminary plat, the planning commission, we can come up with some sort of verbiage. We'll evaluate or whatever. I'll look at what the code says about the preliminary plat and then forward it to the director. So something about the preliminary plat there.
Okay. Anybody else on page 2? Okay, page 3.
So I have, obviously the location and the time and date all need to be fixed. And then have another under section 3, So I was looking also at what the city code says about the boards and their, and kind of like what Mary Cronk had brought up to us. And so give me a second. If you guys want to discuss what, if you have anything, then.
I wanted to back up on section 3 on page 2. The end of it says, no member shall discuss with any applicant any matters pending before the planning commission or render an opinion with regard to pending application outside of public hearings. Now, through the years, several times we have gone with, I'll use the word a developer or so, to look at property, what it looks like. So is that are we in violation, I guess would be the word, if that occurs?
I
Trying
mean,
to
as long
think
as
of
you're
the
not
time-
discussing your decision, but if it's just going to visit a site and that you go look to see what it looks like,
You're okay then.
I mean,
Or what about a holiday dinner?
well, I think this was specific about an applicant. No member shall discuss with an applicant any matters pending before the planning commission, so we don't. I mean, so, you know, if an applicant happens to be at the dinner, as long as you don't talk about the items that,
Sure. I mean,
yeah,
I mean,
it's not like you,
It doesn't say you can't be in the same room or talk to them. It says it shall not discuss or render an opinion. It's not discuss any matter. So, I mean, you can discuss other matters. This is generally a policy thing that it's more of an issue for quasi judicial things such as variances and special use permits, where the public hearing is the only record of that is what would go up on appeal. So having stuff outside of the public hearing doesn't get captured in that record that goes up on appeal, where it's a legislative decision, which is like a rezoning or a ordinance amendment. If there's a challenge, it results in a whole new restart at the Superior Court level called a de novo hearing. And it doesn't matter what was said before, it's all a matter of what is presented in court. So this may be, it's a policy decision. It certainly can be presented. You know, the city councils or this own planning commission may say, we don't want anyone to be discussing outside of the public hearing, so that there's no question as to what may or may not have been said or promised or offered outside of the public hearing where it's, so.
So 2 comments on that. It goes back to my comma, because I was reading outside of public hearings to be a continuation of B. I think for clarity, no member, comma, outside of public hearings or public meetings shall A or B. Because I think the outside of public hearings applies to both. And then if the planning commission, of which there is a quorum, are going out, or whether the quorum, if we're going on a, let's go meet with him, don't we publish we're going and that's a public meeting? So then our site visit is a public meeting, so then we can discuss it out there because it's a declared public meeting that the public's invited to. Typically, yes.
I don't know that I've been a part of a situation where that has occurred. If for a sponsored or a formal site visit that's advertised.
yeah, I can't remember if we've only done it a couple of
Yeah,
times.
so it's only,
What's that?
I can only remember 2.
Yeah.
And was that publicized and could
No.
the public attend?
No.
Yeah, I
Well, I
personally
don't
think they should be
remember. I
able to.
mean, yeah. So, I mean, it's, and I'm not sure if we had a full quorum either in all the
No,
instances.
in the first case, can't think, all I can do is see it in the building and that, going back years, that occurred. Then another time, we all had to go to the driveway back on a farm
Right.
and we individually went there. If you couldn't go as a, it was okay to go as an individual and see what
Right.
it looked like.
Yeah, but I guess, so my first part is, I think the outside of public hearings or public meetings applies to both A or B, and so needs to be repositioned so it's clear that it applies to both A or B. But then, somehow we have to take care of this. On occasion, we may do a site visit to help
Right, and then when
inform
we
our
would,
decision.
we can publish it, yeah. Yeah. Let's, I mean, yeah.
But we'll just say it can be done.
Right, you can
But
go
that
to a
group-
site visit, but if there's going to be a quorum, we need to have it advertised. Or we could do it in such a way that there's only 3 at a time or 2, and then technically it's not a quorum and you're just doing a site visit. But
Personally,
obviously it'd be easier to do it almost everybody together, and I'm fine with that,
Right,
so.
and be transparent and say, if you all want to come and listen to us ask questions of the applicant, feel free.
Yeah.
Yep.
Member also, just make sure about member too, if that's going to be defined somewhere, if you're going to call it each member.
So I guess, we
Definition
don't
of member.
really have definitions here.
I mean, somehow designate member means somebody as a part of the planning commission.
Mhm.
We change that to commissioner?
Huh?
Should we change that to commissioner?
Each commissioner.
It would, or you would, yeah, each
That'd
planning
be more-
commission member,
That's fine.
something
Yeah.
like that. You would
And
have.
Yeah.
then in the paragraph right above it, it
Yeah.
says commission member, so
Here and
It should be
after
consistent.
member.
Yeah, each
Okay.
commission member, yeah.
But then commission member also needs to be somehow referenced that it's the planning commission member.
Makes sense.
So I guess that's kind of the same. In the beginning, call out to say,
Yeah.
in the future, if it's a member, it's referring to planning commission member. So we'll work on that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good catch.
Thank
We
you.
got well practiced doing the UDC on getting very
Yeah,
particular.
we're in the mood. Let's
All
see.
right,
So
back
that
to-
was page 2, and then, so what I was saying on page 3, section 3 at the top, I don't know if we want to, it says a quorum shall be present for a meeting of the commission to begin. A majority of members of the commission, 4 members, shall constitute a quorum. And then, but in section 2-161, under the boards, it says under quorum, a majority of the actual board, commission, committee, or authority members establishes a quorum. Any action taken requires a majority of affirmative votes of the quorum present. So, I mean, I guess just another way it's saying it.
Where did you see this?
It's section 2-161.
Yeah, because currently we only have 6 members, but a quorum is still 4, because you need,
Right. Well,
Right.
if you have
But if we're-
5, then it's 3.
3.
is that what you're kind of getting to?
well, we need to clarify that the actual commission members. There's potential commission members, there's positions, and then there's actually appointed. So,
Yeah.
so a majority of the actual commission members establishes a quorum, any action taken. Well, I will say, hang on, let me find one. That language is a little bit contrary to what's necessary to pass, to take action.
So I think that was what Mary Cronk was saying, like, there's regulations for the boards, in chapter 2, and whether are we being consistent with whether it was the code or now we're looking at the bylaws.
Mhm.
Okay, we're okay. Okay, so what is,
So I guess even this, it says a majority of the members of the commission that's not necessarily true, right? What's written in the bylaws right now,
well,
or is that just giving an example?
the one in the bylaws is probably clarification of what that means.
Okay,
And it's not absolutely clear what the code says. It says the actual board or actual commission members, is an empty position a commission member? Arguable not, it probably would mean a quorum of those that have actually been appointed. And I say this because I know a situation where a city had, I think, 4 of its 7 members leave or like qualify for another election, and they were down to 3 people. But the way it was written, it was the actually appointed members. But I think they use the term appointed members.
but what if they're not
So-
physically there?
Well, they still had to, they had to have, but so they were down to having 3 people.
Mhm.
So 2 people constitute a quorum. They were literally in a position where 2 people could take action.
Oh, okay.
That would bind the board because 4 of them were no longer members of the commission, or the position was
Oh,
no
okay.
longer, the position was vacant. So, but a vacant position didn't count against the quorum. I think we need to kind of get a sense of how it's intended to mean in the code section. And that's something that we need to look at to see if including that actual 4 members, because 4
Okay.
members kind of appears to supersede any potential issue with, having a vacant seat or 2, in this
Yeah.
case, 2 vacant
So,
seats.
so if we had 3 vacant seats, all of us would have to be here, is what this would say. If we say,
It
a
appears
you
from
know, so it's
this.
a majority of, it's a majority, but at least 4.
That's that's the way this
That's the way it's
looks.
written?
Yeah.
But that may run contrary to
What the city
what the
code
code
says.
says.
So we'll come back
You'll look
with
into
a-
that.
Okay.
And when you look into it then, since on the previous page, we defined members, let's capitalize it here because this,
Well, there's going to be quite a few, I think, that need
Yeah.
to be, where members, whatever we choose to do, it needs to be consistent throughout.
yeah. And then backing up to section 2, special meetings, we did not define meetings, so I think that can be lowercase.
Somebody was cap heavy.
Cap happy, yeah.
Random acts of capitalization. And then in section 4, if we're ready to move on after quorum, in section 4, the agenda shall be followed unless the chair makes a motion to hear items on the agenda out of their assigned order, a chair or capital member.
Hmm. Yeah, because right now, the chair doesn't,
I mean, my recommendation, typical practice is that, this may be trying to smooth the process, but typically there's an agenda item that's consideration and adoption of the agenda, which isn't on here. which
Right,
I
and
knew-
I'm
I-
totally open about adding different stuff and changing
Yeah.
that around, so that's kind of the purpose of,
Because-
yeah.
I'll say, because at the last meeting, Judy, you made a motion to amend. There was no place to do that in the
Right.
agenda. That's typically what that position
Right.
is there for.
And you usually amend before you take any other action, otherwise you have to
would be like
suspend the
number 2
rules,
on
which
here.
is
Right.
what I clarified.
Yeah.
Can you tell I was in student government and know Robert rules? So but the agenda shall be followed unless the chair or a member makes a motion, because we've been having, usually Kurt goes, will you make a motion to
Yeah.
move this?
yeah, I wasn't sure I could make it.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
my-
I mean,
my-
it's
I
up to you.
honestly, if I were recommending, I would say we just take that sentence out. I mean, I guess we could leave it in, but I would add in the list of items on the agenda is consideration,
Approval.
adoption, or approval of the agenda.
So then the staff is directed to draft the agenda for the meetings based on the order of business, period.
Right, and
Yeah.
then, but we have to add, well, it'd be after Pledge of Allegiance would be the vote on the agenda or amend it, whatever the wording is.
Consideration of agenda. Or
Some
order of
call it
agenda.
amendment and approval, or amendment or approval. Some say consideration and approval. Or even just approval.
We can look, I think the DRB just did their bylaws and I
Yeah, I'm
think
pretty
they
sure
have it
we've-
in there, or the BCA, so
One or
yeah.
the other one.
And we still, because we follow Robert's rules, if we've approved the agenda, now we're 2 items in, we can suspend if majority approves, we can suspend the rules and move something up or move it down.
Yeah.
But then it's a motion to suspend the rules.
We've had,
Yeah,
particularly when presentations are made.
yeah. In that list, I guess it's every other bullet number gets a period, but I think we need to strike the period after 2, 4, and 5.
Oh, I see. I was looking after the numbers themselves.
Yeah.
I was like, every one of those numbers has a period after it.
So I was also thinking,
So you're
text
saying
amendments,
2 and 4.
rezoning.
Right.
Is there anything else like to put in,
Right.
like new business? I don't know, something,
2, 4, and 5.
2, 4, 5. It's a bullet list.
we put something in like, because we don't. Consideration, we're not really changing this comp plan or other plans, but we're just having like something for other business, like a new business category.
There's at least 2 different presentations regularly
I mean, typically you have new business, old business.
Right,
The
and we can
question,
change it whatever way you want to, so.
this new business could include like presentations.
Right.
Yeah,
This technically should be old business because we had it on the agenda before.
Right.
And usually you do old business before new business. Yes?
That sounds correct in terms of practice. I've never thought about whether it was required to be that way.
I'm pretty sure old business on Robert's rules is usually recommended to be before new.
So do we want to add old business and new business after the consideration? I mean, it's like once every few years we have the comp plan, so that's gonna probably like be dropped off, or we can put it before that, I don't care. The
Yeah, but
old
it should be
business and then
old
new business,
and new.
Mhm.
and then the
It's-
comp
That's what
plan.
city council is using. I'm not saying that theirs is.
So 6 would be old business, 7 would be new business.
I
Okay.
think.
And then we will change that in the new consideration and approval of agenda and move things around.
Oh, right, because, yeah. Or you could do it like the council, you have reports and presentations before anything else, any major stuff.
Do we have a-
The part of the thing too is if there are a lot of people from the public here, we usually
Right,
like to
yeah.
get,
You're right.
attend to them first and then we can do that. So usually if there is like a rezoning or a use permit, folks usually show up and we should let them go first.
Okay, no, that makes sense.
And then we can deal with our stuff, like old and new presentations.
Okay. Then we get to the,
Also, when you make your changes like chair, define chair, or if you're going to use chairperson or chair, vice chairperson, that's in different ways there. And then section 5, Article 5, section 5, again, I don't know if you want to address in the event that the chairperson or chair is not at the meeting and the vice chair is running it,
Right.
whoever's the authoritative person who's supposed to be running it. That's both of them are that section.
There is a typo in the first italicized paragraph on the second line after vice chairperson. There's a unneeded space before the period.
City of Milton's.
Sure. No, yeah, no.
Not typically.
Okay. Okay.
That may go along with all of
Again,
our
back.
common convention as to what we call everything. Whether we call it, Planning Commission, Milton Planning Commission, City of Milton Planning Commission.
But I think he was saying, like,
I know,
Yeah.
it's not typically possessive.
okay,
Okay.
It's just a title.
okay.
But we want to stay still consistent.
Yeah,
With the ones we've done
Right.
ahead of this.
just the title, City of Milton Planning Commission.
So I have a question. We were kind of discussing this before the meeting on the third line where it says, this is 7-member commission appointed by the City of Milton, Mayor and City Council, created for the purpose of holding public hearings and making recommendations, blah, blah, blah. So just to say that technically, you want to still call it, it's not, I guess it's a public hearing, but it's not the public hearing for the final decision in
It
that
holds public hearings.
italicized
There's no-
area.
It says it holds public hearings.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
We'll note somewhere it's in Article 2, Section 1, it says it's a 7-member board. Here it says it's a 7-member commission.
Okay, so we just need to be consistent.
All right.
Um,
On the last of page 3, I think it's pretty standard. Do you have anything else on that? On page 3, the last 3 paragraphs?
Bill,
was there it seemed like there was something, Paul, about in the ZPL where you added the time that
yeah. That was
the opposition and the number, you put that in the ZPL because it wasn't there, but it's here,
Yeah,
but it
it's
wasn't
in this
there.
statement.
Yeah,
right.
okay. I just want to make sure we were consistent.
We did, the procedures here are
Correct.
in need of,
Oh,
Okay.
Okay, then top of page 4.
In the third paragraph, speaker is not a defined term. It should be lowercase.
And then the 4th paragraph, that could be reworded better, I believe, but, just fairly convoluted.
The long one or the,
Yeah, when an opponent of a
Oh.
rezoning action is made, within 2 years immediately preceding the filing of the rezoning action being opposed, period, campaign contributions aggregating more than $250 or more to a local government official of the local government which will consider the application, it shall be the duty of the opponent to file a disclosure with the governing authority of the respective local government at least 5 days prior to the planning commission meeting. Do we want to get the local government stuff out of there and put the city?
I believe this is a direct quote from Georgia state law, if you'll check it.
Never mind.
Whenever anything sounds odd, it's a direct quote from the
Yeah,
law.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then, Paul, why the asymmetry? Opponents have to declare, proponents don't. Why?
State law.
I'm
Yeah,
asking for the
well-
logic.
It's always been weird.
I don't know why it was written. They typically put it as the applicant has to make the same affirmative statement in their application.
Yeah, they have
As
to
part
do
of the
it.
application. I don't think anybody, so they figured just, you got the applicant and you got the opponents, that's all they're worried about. I don't know why.
Yeah, so in the application, you'll see the signature page that they haven't.
And the $250, it reads aggregating more than $250 or more.
Yeah, that's duplicative.
Yeah, I think, and if we can, I would recommend that we do more than $250, eliminate the or more. That way Judy won't have to write $249 checks anymore.
On the later one right here or there.
This
And
one
Jubilee,
says
okay.
aggregating more.
So we're talking about
I think
scratch.
you have to go back to the code on
Good to
that,
see it,
because I think
yeah.
the code is $250 or more.
I'm trying to find it.
Well, then should the aggregating, getting rid of the more than
Like
250?
Judy said, if it doesn't make sense, it must be sick.
Yeah.
I think the code reads aggregating $250 or more. Hence why my checks are $249. Not that I write a lot of them.
So we're contemplating scratching the more than after aggregating?
I think he's checking the state.
Checking the code.
Okay, yep.
And it's in zoning, I think, not in campaign finance. Because later it says, therefore, if you have contributed $250 or more.
Aggregating 250 or more is for the applicant. The opponent, $250 or more.
So it should say, rather than saying aggregating more than 250, it should say aggregating $250 or more.
Correct.
So just the whole thing just needs to be double checked to make sure there's nothing else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
And then,
Technically, it
It's
says
only
when
been said
any
wrong for
opponent,
10 years.
not when an opponent.
When any opponent, that's funny. So we'll double check all that.
Yeah.
Ramification is of that.
Okay,
and just for clarification, because we moved it from what it was, the fourth Tuesday, now it's the fourth Wednesday, so it's still approximately 3.5 weeks.
Well, and now we've moved it a little bit more. We've moved it instead of the third Monday of each month for the council. It's now the following first meeting. So it's really more than, well, I don't know, whatever. It's more than 3.5 weeks. Well, it's more like 4 weeks. I don't know.
Well, let's,
It's a little
yeah.
silly. That this. I mean, I'm okay with if you have it the fourth Wednesday.
Sometimes move to the third Wednesday.
Oh, no, and then it used to be the first, well, on the third Monday. Now we're on the first, usually the public hearing for the council is the first Monday, the following.
In this case, like if we had something tonight, they wouldn't consider it until December 4th. So it's 6 weeks or 5.5 weeks.
Okay. So we used to have, so say you had a planning commission, this is the 25th or whatever, right? And then we used to have to turn it around and get it for a first, oh, that's what it is.
First
Used to, the
reading.
first read would be the first meeting in November and then the third. So now the first read is the third Monday and it's the following first Monday is the public hearing. So you're right, it's like 6 weeks.
But in reality, yeah, because they have the first, maybe we should have that incorporation of first read. Does everything get a
Any
first
Any
read?
ordinance, rezoning, use permit, text amendment.
Yeah.
They all would have it.
So will you update this with
Yeah,
the
we'll
first
figure that
read
out.
and then the hearing?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then just for spacing, I think the planning commission's
Yeah,
recommendation
we
should
need
have a
another
space before. it.
Yeah.
And then that demonstration of any sort, do we need a comma after, since it's applause, and then it's dialogue with the person speaking phrase, comma, or outburst? Because it's not dialogue with the person speaking or outburst, just to be clear that that's a phrase, dialogue with the person speaking is a phrase, offset with a comma.
Sense to me.
I think it adds clarity.
So is this designated somehow that this is the council chambers?
I think that there was let's see, the community development. Yeah,
I believe it's labeled outside council
Is it labeled
chambers.
outside?
I think so.
yeah. Somewhere else there was the address.
In the,
too.
in the address, it says council chamber.
Yeah.
But again, I wanted to make sure, that it's somehow defined that wherever the council, and it's actually somewhere here too. Yeah. Because
Okay.
then that's gonna be, I mean, unless you call it chamber only, whether this is a city council meeting or a planning commission meeting, we are still meeting in the council chambers. Is that right?
Mhm.
That needs to be updated, demonstration of any sort within the council chambers, I guess.
Okay. Anything else on the last two paragraphs?
So I have actually go back up to the community development department has reviewed each, blah, blah, blah. I had both internal and external, if applicable. So I don't always have, I only really go to outside groups or entities unless we have only if we have a residential rezoning, so I go to the Board of Education, but, or if it's in a Seward area, I asked Public Works of Fulton County to give input, so,
You just want to put an if needed
yeah,
after the
or if
external?
applicable.
Okay. All right.
And then in that last paragraph, just clarifying that petition is deferred in whatever meeting that is, then in accordance with the Milton zoning ordinance, you're required to have a new posting. Reads like deferred in accordance with the Milton zoning ordinance, but it's not deferred based on that. It's deferred based on planning commission, for instance, deferring it.
Could we say if your petition is deferred by the planning commission.
And in accordance with the Milton zoning ordinance, et cetera.
Okay. Page 5.
That's, oh. We still have general comment in the items. No. But we used to have general comment, but it's not on here, and
Public comments?
Should we have it on our agenda?
that's up to you if you guys want to add
think
it to
should.
the.
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, if there's nobody here, that's fine, but yeah, you should have it.
or at least, you know, give it the opportunity.
Yes.
And then do we want to say, you
Well,
know,
the general comment would go
Back
the-
to where
the
that
main-
list of items.
Right, the agenda
Page
items,
3.
not,
Yeah, section. Yeah,
Right,
Article
so
5,
after
section
maybe
4.
pledge of allegiance, right?
And then the consideration of an approval of agenda, and then the general public comment.
Or,
Mm-hmm.
it should definitely come after the agenda. Probably after the minutes also, if
Okay,
you asked me. The administrative matters out of the way.
yep. So we're putting general public comment between what is now 2 and 3. Okay.
under the call for general public comment on top of page 5, do we want to say that can be extended by a motion and vote, or do we need to include something like that in there? It's pretty hard and fast.
no, and I don't really understand, because the council, you're allowed 5 minutes for general each.
This says 2 minutes
we're-
each, but not more than 14 minutes total.
First of all, we're
I
smarter
don't know
and
where
quicker
that
than
comes
council.
from.
We don't need no 5 minutes. That'll get me in trouble.
If it's just some arbitrary thing, I'd rather just keep it consistent with the council procedure, but we'll look for that. I'll see if there's anything in the. Do you agree that it would be easier just to have somebody allowed up to 5 minutes on public comment, like the council does?
Yeah, I think we should be
Okay.
consistent.
Okay, we'll just double check there's nothing in conflict with that.
Then do we feel we have to say
Does
it
that
can be
make
extended or not?
sense? Yeah. What's that?
Say in here, it can be extended, or don't we want to put that in here?
I guess we can say that. I mean,
Well-
it's,
I think y'all consider whether you want to do that. I think we should have a separate section because right now it's just in his announcement. It's not, there's no
Yeah.
right.
technical provision or section that describes what the limits are.
Okay,
That's-
so we need to
that's good.
add public comment section.
You should probably
Okay,
give her an idea of what you want. We figured out it should be consistent with what the city council does. And is there any reason to extend it?
I know,
If
usually
the city
there
council
hasn't,
doesn't
yeah.
have a limit other than per speaker limit,
Right.
then
Right.
You can't say it in 5 minutes. It's not a zoning
As long,
item. so-
yeah, as long as it's an individual, 5 minutes.
Right, just like they do,
Yeah.
which is actually, it could be more than what a zoning item is permitted, but usually you add more minutes after.
Yeah.
Yes, usually 10 minutes isn't enough for either side.
yep, I agree. Let's make that consistent with council. Section 6. Questions?
that
or
needs
com-
to be rewritten. I mean, applications being accompanied by the applicant is just an odd way of saying the applicant has to be here. And I feel like I come up with some language for that, but that may have what triggered.
Yeah,
it.
we can work on that.
Yeah, but I think
Okay.
I mean,
It's
we
more
can say
than-
say the same thing that it means is the applicant has to be here. If they're not here, it goes to the end of the agenda, and then, you have, if they don't meet, then you have to vote to defer.
Okay,
We won't change the subject matter unless you want the subject matter changed, but we'll just reword it a little bit. Probably just that first sentence.
Okay. Anything else on section 6? That'll be a lot clearer once we get the red lines and all to
Yeah.
reviews. Consideration of applications by the commission shall be as follows. First agenda, chair identifies the application, staff presents the application.
We'll say it needs to be clear that there's a 10-minute maximum for those in favor, including both
Yeah.
the applicant and those
Right.
speaking in favor. So this needs to be worded just to, I think the ZBA did it in such a way that it wasn't separated, or the two, the applicant and the proponents were separated in terms of, the list here. There were separate items on the list, but it was made clear that the 10-minute applied to
Include
the
to
total of those two.
So what you're saying is the applicant and those in support will have a time
Total
limit
of
of
10
10 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
And I will say this,
I have to say, there have been times in the past when I was wanting to make comment and I was in favor of some things and against other, and I was like, am I in support or not?
Sometimes you're neutral.
It's
You're
like,
you're just wanna
sometimes
say-
you're, yeah, so,
you
whose
kind
time
of
do you
just
wanna
have to, you pick one and say it. Typically, every commission or board is going to let, get said what needs to get, what people want to say. I mean, in Milton, very much so. So I don't think it will present any problems if there's a run, if someone runs out of time in the pro or the con and someone said, well, they were a pro, but they spoke in opposition. Now we lost our time, it usually works
Yeah.
its way out. I will say this is the way this is written is an unusual manner of doing it with this subsequent, sur rebuttal and further rebuttal time periods.
are we better off just adopting whatever the BZA has? Is it a little tighter?
It was certainly adopted later. It should, I'm trying to think if there's any reason that because they're absolutely quasi-judicial, if that makes a difference. It probably doesn't. I think it was intended that all public hearings will be conducted the same. So you can certainly,
I think it would be helpful just because people then can expect consistency, that it's the same way back and forth, because I think when this, and then when you get to city council, it's the same way. But I would think if anything, the BZA would be a higher standard, and if we wanted to meet the same higher standard, because they are quasi judicial and we are not, it would be helpful because it would be consistent.
all right, we'll
Okay.
work together to present that with that plan in mind.
All right. So that takes care of all section 7 then. We're going to check on the BZA, how they're doing it.
Yeah.
All right, 8.
I have, because the way it's written, the second sentence suggests that you only can recommend deferral as opposed to actually deferring. I believe you have voted to defer in the past. Is that, I'm trying to remember if you have or have not.
Yeah, you guys have voted to defer items, right?
It probably needs to be reworded, and we need to
Absolutely.
make sure the code doesn't say they can't, but it should be reworded to make sure it's clear that they can defer themselves.
So in section 9, I don't know if for clarity, if at the second of the last line, however, time may be extended by majority vote of the commission. Not like, hey, who wants to extend?
Attendees and the
You know,
janitor.
I honestly, I don't know that it needs to say by, it should probably can just say by the council
Or
or
by
the
the
commission,
commission.
by the planning commission. I mean, everything is done by majority vote, and it's,
And then in section 10, just to simplify, unless requested by the commission instead of unless requested to do so.
So I have we'll present this, the BZA, they just, I don't know when, it is a little bit different, and like it says, the chair identifies the application, the staff presents the application to the board, like, so that's
Yeah.
not in here.
Okay.
Well, it's item
We'll
3,
bring this back to you so that you'll see, yeah.
unless you want to pop it up now
Yeah,
on
we
our
can-
screen.
Yeah, we can do that.
We have technology.
I know. I'm just gonna put it on the overhead.
There.
Emily, I don't know if you want to go ahead while she's doing that on the top of page 6. There's a typo on or, it's not ORE,
yeah.
it's or. And then reviewed by, kind of redundant, staff of the Community Development Department. We can just say the Community Development Department. Yeah. Parallel processing,
Anything else on that page?
not from me.
Well, I just wanted to confirm bylaws too, like we've got bylaws hyphenated or no hyphen.
Yeah, they are hyphenated on the front page. We'll sort that out.
in section 9 on page 5. The last line there, where it says, if time remains, the opposition will be allowed to rebut. I'm sure it should say the applicant will be allowed to rebut.
Okay. Ooh. Now, can those online see this? Yeah.
The throngs that are logging in.
Identifies the application, staff presents the application to the board. Addresses questions to the staff regarding the application. Chair declares the public hearing on the application open. Applicants to address the board with respect to the application. Chair calls for any members. Applicant and those. Wishing to speak in opposition to the application.
I like this because I think it's clear and I think it's consistent with what we do and it's consistent with, obviously, the
I agree.
BCA
We
rules.
should be sure we have board or commission.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, let's do that. So we did section 10. We had the couple minor changes on 6. Anybody else have anything?
Uh,
Did we get the red lines?
On 8, I think I'm going to say approval with conditions as opposed to approval conditional. Section 8, paragraph 5, section 8, or sorry, page 5, section 8. Where it's second line, it
Approval
says,
with conditions.
yeah.
And actually, we don't approve a recommendation for approval with conditions.
Is to recommend
Yeah.
approval of an application, approval with conditions, denial.
So we can move to defer or to recommend approval of an application,
Right.
approval with conditions, deny, or, or defer. Oh, well, there's the deferral right there at the
Yeah.
end.
But
We're
Yeah, I
gonna,
guess theoretically, you could also recommend that the city council defer. You're not going to do it. You're not going to stand in the way, but you think it's a good idea. I don't think that's what it means, because if you don't do that, you're not providing a recommendation.
So you're saying we should, clarity is
I like-
move to defer
Right.
or to recommend.
Yeah. And the one thing I just want to make sure that there's no code section that prevents you from deferring. Or you have to make a decision.
Typically, I think what we have done is if we're leaning toward deferral, we seek the applicant's concurrence, because it's often we're looking for additional information to get to a recommendation of yes. Because I think there is some code that they need to have a timely hearing.
I don't know of a state code that establishes that there's a connection between when the planning commission hearing and the eventual vote is. If it's the only hearing, it's vague, and since the city council is going to conduct a hearing as well, it's not a concern.
But here's the challenge is if we defer, then that gets, it would push the city council off a month.
Yes. That's why some will expressly state that the city council the planning commission has to send a recommendation to the city council, or you might have 30 days to send, once you have the public hearing, you have 30 days to send your recommendation, or 45 days, which gives you one deferral kind of option. But that's probably written into the code.
Oh, look.
Okay.
What if the applicant decision to
you can withdraw, right?
Well, I know at city council, what I've seen them do is if they can request to defer, but city council has to approve the deferral,
Right.
because city council could take action and deny or approve.
Shouldn't we have that?
Well, a part of what I'm worried about is we're in the critical path.
We're
Yeah.
still voting to defer. They may say it. We still have to say it.
That's right, okay.
Yeah, we still have to make a motion to defer.
So this is what, in the zoning section for rezonings or text amendment, says when the planning commission or the city council defers a petition, the applicant is required to post an updated sign with new hearing dates 20 days prior to the next scheduled hearing date. When a petition is deferred by the city council for less than 20 days, posting an updated sign is not required. The department, and then the next part says, this is about the mailed notices. The notices shall be mailed a minimum of 14 days prior to the CZIM meeting. Re-notification by mail is required when a petition is recommended for deferral by the planning commission for any amount of time or is deferred by the mayor and city council.
Yeah.
So it would imply that we can defer.
It says when the planning commission or the city council defers a petition, that sounds like you have the authority to defer a petition.
Right.
Other references. It also said recommends deferral on one of the ones you read. I didn't see where you
Right,
read that
yeah.
one, but that suggests that you could also recommend deferral.
Because in the pre-meeting notes, it says, finally to the applicant, if your petition is deferred
Right.
in accordance with the Milton zoning ordinance.
It
You're
sounds to me,
required to update
I don't
it.
see anything. I'll try to take one more quick run through, but I think Judy's suggestion that may make a motion to defer or
Recommend.
to recommend approval.
Okay.
Approval with conditions or denial.
That'll work. Anything else on the bylaws?
So next steps, Robin?
So we'll have a red line and then we'll send it to you. I guess we will have a November meeting, so. And go from there.
All right.
Send it to you.
Then the last
And-
item under new business is the 2024 Planning Commission meeting calendar. The proposed schedule is in the packet. Any questions?
Just out of curiosity, are you guys okay with the procedures of 1 month and 1 month? You can change that process as well.
The procedure of the,
The modification of bylaws.
The last section. I mean, you can change it if you want to make it more streamlined or whatever.
We could change it, but not for this go round.
Right, right.
Right.
For
But I'm just saying, do
future.
you want to change it in the bylaws so if for any reason you,
consider these
Isn't that typical though for bylaws though, or what I have seen typically, Robert's Rules has a lot more publication or lead time to review modifications. I know it's usually 2 weeks.
yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with this at
He
all.
was
I'm
just
just,
asking.
I think that generally the idea is you don't come into the meeting, change the rules for a particular item necessarily.
And then change them back.
Yeah.
Well, I guess since this hasn't been done in 13 and a half years, I don't know if there's any need to speed it up. I mean, I think the process makes some sense.
I agree.
Mhm.
That's fine. We went
No,
through
I
it.
was-
Unless we wanted to add Paul's recommendation about, provided that the amendment was submitted in writing in the previous meeting, and any further modifications are only minor in nature.
Like a change in time or date or something.
Yeah. Or, correct,
Go.
putting a hyphen in bylaws or something like that.
We have to define what minor is then,
Exactly.
Yeah.
and what the-
Yeah.
Took words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Minor, okay, find that.
I mean, it may be that they want it to be, because they're the rules, they want to be super specific and say, look, you talk about it at one meeting and then you vote on what you talked about at the next meeting. If you're still talking about it, then you're not ready to vote and you come back again. I don't have a problem with doing it that way. I just,
Like I said,
Or-
13 years from now, they can
Yeah, exactly.
Take 3
If
months
they need
to
it done
do
a month earlier, darn it, they can.
Fred will still be
take 3
here.
months to do it.
Fred and Rob.
So, all right. Now moving,
So are we approving this now or just reviewing it, the proposed meeting schedule?
I think it really says anything about it, how
We
we
just
Just
read
the
all of it.
chair.
did about the schedule.
I don't think so.
Yeah, there's no, we just,
That's
I didn't know whether we were going to have a November meeting, so I wanted it to be.
I move to approve the proposed 2024 meeting schedule.
Gotta have something official here.
is there do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Did Ron vote?
He woke up.
Robin, you got anything else for us?
Or.
Uh,
Right, because, I mean, worst case, we can always
unless you
change
find
this.
it.
if something comes up next year, right?
What's that?
We can always change this.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, no, I
It
mean,
comes
I
up next
think,
year,
Yeah.
so
yeah, we
let's,
kind of need to
That's
set
what
it
it
so
says.
we can
Right,
give it
right.
to potential applicants and have a
Case it,
schedule out there,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
We have to start.
Yeah, no, we have a lot on the December meetings. We have 2 rezonings, real rezonings, not like these.
Real rezonings, like I want to go from
Like from
T to.
AG1 to R5A,
Mm.
but it's consistent with the comp plan on Bethany Bend. I think it'll be the second sewer rezoning we've ever done in 17 years.
Right.
And then the other one is
I'll check
a
my records for that.
infill rezoning over on Broadwell from T4 to T4 open.
Okay.
New and exciting stuff.
Get ready.
Will we have the new, no, we won't have the new bylaws approved yet. Yeah.
You'll know what to do.
Yeah.
Well, unless we approve the bylaws first and then we can. I take it that's an interesting question. Hate to go back to the bylaws, but when we approve the bylaws, they go into effect the next day, not that evening.
I've never had the question come up.
I know.
I think they go into effect immediately upon adoption,
Yeah.
Okay. So we might want
Unless
to
you-
make it one of the last
unless
agenda
you,
items.
unless you signify otherwise.
Because you'd hate to change the rules on somebody in the middle of the meeting if we had it.
Well,
in-
theoretically, we're not
Really
changing any of
We're
the,
just clarifying.
But no, like some of the things like you get 10 minutes and all that kind of thing.
Well, but that's
Yeah.
what we've done in
yeah,
practice,
that's,
though.
Yeah.
I think the practice is not quite the same as what's written here.
It's all clarification.
So then based on the length of the December meeting, we should all set the expectations for Waffle House for the dinner afterwards?
Yeah.
Is
You
it,
might want to change it to a Thanksgiving meeting.
sure, that might not, that'd
That
be
was a
fine.
good idea.
That's
Do
good,
a thanks for thanks dinner.
Because, well, I think we'll all be rolling into our bed in December, so.
Well, and also too, it sounds like the November meeting will be
Like,
Right,
light
perfect.
and appropriately
And everyone should be in the holiday spirit
Pre-dinner.
and festive.
yeah.
Okay,
I like that idea to do our gathering.
Good with that, because then she's got to publicize that.
so where do you guys want to go?
you want to do,
Restaurants recently got Michelin stars. So,
hey, we're buying.
Oh,
Sheesh. Um,
Last year we went to the Old Blind Dog, right?
Yeah.
Campagna.
There the year before, or.
Right, and then we,
Before.
that other place is out of business.
The what?
The one was out of business that we went to the year before that. The one over on, just down the mall from Campagna.
Oh, okay.
We could do the Mexican next to Campagna.
Yeah, well, there's the, Dos Tres, whatever,
Yeah.
Tres Lunas. That's actually pretty good. Have you guys been there lately?
Want to do that?
It's very good.
Let's do that.
Grace Lunas. November 18th. What is it? What day?
I think it's the 20th.
Okay. Great.
You ready? I move, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Opposed? All right.
We moved it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the
planning
week
commission
after
pushed
for this
it
year?
back.
We didn't want to have it the week of Thanksgiving, so
It's
Oh,
the
it's the 29th.
28th.
it's the 29th. 20,
20,
okay, so it's the 29th.
29th, the following Wednesday.
Right, we changed it,
Got it. Okay.
I think, didn't we?
yeah, because the 23rd is Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's not the week of Thanksgiving.
It's not the week of thing. Okay.
Yeah,
So this meeting is over then officially.
yeah.
Has anybody heard anything about Laura's replacement?
I figured we'd wait till the new council. I don't know, I haven't heard anything, but I'm not.
Is she Rick's?
No, she,
Here, Rick, Jan, she's with
Oh, she's
Chance.
Indian, okay.
Oh, yeah, well, we can ask him.
I can reach out to him too, I mean.
Yeah, if you wanna, yeah,
Yeah,
that might
I'll
be
reach out to him.
appropriate, like, hello.
No, we got this.
All right, well, thank you guys. Well done.
The 29th is when.
It's the 29th.